A new Wordle puzzle is online. Click on the link to play.
Listening to the following video may give you clues. Please like and share the videos.
Jermell Charlo vs Brian Castano 2 fight results highlights Charlo's victory. If you're interested in Jermell Charlo vs
Brian Castano fight results, this article will cover both fighters' performance. We'll talk about the result, commentary, and more. This article also covers the fight's main storylines, so make sure to read it all.
You'll also learn some valuable takeaways for this fight. Charlo.
The second fight of the Jermell Charlo v Brian Castano series has been highly anticipated.
Both fighters are looking to defend their titles, and the bout was an exciting one. Both showed that they are worthy champions with their technicality, aggression, and heart.
Both fighters went for an aggressive style, but neither was able to win the bout. First round starts with both fighters trading shots.
Charlo's jabs miss and Castano's attempts to go down to the body miss. Castano counters well and scores with a right hand to the body.
The fight goes on to the second round and both fighters land a couple of good shots. Neither fighter landed any knockout shots in this fight.
In the co-main event, Brian Castano defeated Patrick Teixeira in 2021 and beat Wale Omotoso in 2019. Before facing Charlo, he faced Arislandi Lara in a draw.
Castano also faced Cedric Vitu and won a welterweight title fight in 2018 against a former champion. The first bout of this card saw the world champion win 4 straight times at 154 pounds.
After that, Charlo declared himself the mandatory challenger, but the fight continued to the 10th round, when Castano was knocked out. A left hook to the body by Charlo sent Castano to the canvas.
This clinched the title for Charlo and gave him the undisputed super welterweight belt. Despite the delay in the first round, Charlo was able to dominate in the second half.
The second half saw Castano less willing to let go of the gloves, but Charlo capitalized on it. In round 10, Charlo landed a delayed knockdown on Castano, and after the fight he rushed forward with a flurry of fighting.
He finished the fight with a body shot and an uppercut. Castano.
A quick look at the Charlo vs Castano fight results shows that the welterweight champion is the more impressive fighter of the two. Castano lands a right hand and tries to move up but is countered by Charlo.
Castano counters with a right hand to the head and Charlo lands an uppercut and a right hand to the body. The fight is on to the final round and it is not as close as it could be.
The first round started off with a left hand from Castano that sent Charlo running and backwards. But Charlo's power shots, and his rare commitment to the body, responded.
Both men were pressuring, and the fight progressed to an exciting finish. As expected, Castano looked good on his feet, but he was not content to just sit on the ropes like in the first fight.
Both fighters continued to trade jabs throughout the fight, but Charlo was the sharper counterpuncher. The second half was even better, as the Brazilian boxer was able to use his power to beat Castano.
He landed several powerful shots and was able to set up his shots with a jab. The knockout was the final blow, and Charlo is now the undisputed champion of the 154-pound division.
In a rematch of the first fight, Castano fought Charlo on the same card in November. The rematch between Charlo and Castano is scheduled to take place this weekend in Carson, California.
The first bout was a split draw and was declared a draw. A year later, the pair fought again and Charlo won the fight by KO.
The results are expected to be similar. Whether or not Charlo wins the second fight depends on the circumstances surrounding it.
The rematch was an absolute barn burner. The two men are still undefeated, but both are worthy of their belts.
If Charlo wins the rematch, he'll become the first undisputed 154-pound champion in the 4-belt era. There will be many more fights for both champions over the next few years, so be sure to tune in and watch the action live on CBS Sports.
Result. During their first fight, Jermell Charlo knocked out Brian Castano to win the undisputed super welterweight title.
With the win, he called Tim Kazoo as his mandatory challenger. In the rematch, the two had a similar result.
In the 10th round, Charlo landed a left hook to Castano's body, knocking him out. As for Charlo, he used his jab to set his shots.
He always got in a good hit with his jab. During the fight, Castano tried to walk down Charlo, but Charlo was able to land a right hand and a left hook.
After Castano's attack, Charlo countered with a jab and straight right. As the third round starts, the fight has a definite pace.
The first round sees Charlo jab Castano and Charlo land a right hand. The second round sees both fighters hurl body shots.
Eventually, the fight ends in a draw. The third round, though, will see Charlo get the decision.
After a long wait, Jermell Charlo v. Brian Castano is a rematch of their first fight.
The winner will be declared the undisputed super welterweight title. Despite the disappointing result, the rematch will make Charlo look even better.
Charlo has a history of redeeming himself in big rematches. He stopped Tony Harrison late in their rematch 1 year later.
Charlo is the current WBO and WBC super welterweight champion. He fought Castano for the first time in July 2021 and won by knockout.
The fight was even at 114 apiece, with Steve Weisfeld and Nelson Vasquez scoring the fight. A draw would put Castano as the underdog.
The two fighters met in July at the MGM Grand Casino in Carson, California. The match was a barn burner and Charlo ended up winning the WBO belt in the second fight.
The former undefeated champion faced the former two-time world champion on a controversial split decision, but the second fight was a barnburner. Commentary.
The Jermell Charlo v. Brian Castano fight results highlight Charlo's victory with a knockout in the 10th round.
The fight was a thrilling bout that solidified both men as worthy champions. The fight showcased the violence needed to attract casual fans and the heart required to fight back in adversity.
The fight was technical and fast-paced, but both men were able to get their opponents to commit mistakes. Both men were able to show their superiority with a flurry of combinations.
After the fight, both men exchanged pleasantries, though Castano appeared to have the upper hand. Castano landed solid right hands, which forced Charlo to defend himself with his back to the ropes.
Charlo responded with heavy counters from his left hook. The fight deteriorated as brutal blows from both men were thrown.
In the opening round, Charlo came out aggressive and set up counters on Castano. However, the pressure began to wear him down.
In round 2, Castano lends a right hand to Charlo's body and head. Castano continues to push the pace and Charlo responds with a clean uppercut and a right hand.
The WBA, WBC and IBF championships are at stake in this rematch. Charlo has claimed that Castano faked an injury so he could gain an extra month to prepare for the fight.
In fact, the fighters have disagreed on the injury question, and the results show Charlo was the better fighter, with James disputing the results of the fighter rematch between two undisputed junior middleweights is scheduled for this weekend in Carson, California.
A draw in the first bout was announced 10 months ago, and this rematch will determine the undisputed 154-pound champion. Also in the card, Boots Ennis will face Custio Clayton in an IBF eliminator, while Kevin Gonzalez faces Emmanuel Rivera in a 10-round junior featherweight bout. After
a lengthy injury, Jermell's rematch against Brian Castano will take place on Saturday in Los Angeles. The two super welterweight champions have been battling each other for nearly 2 years.